Big hey now. Happy Saturday or Sunday. Depends where you are. Depends where you are. Somebody give me the A-OK that you can hear me. Just checking my mic. We're going to dig in a little bit deeper into the Actuator.Finance system for this stream, and specifically talking about T-share amplification. Woo. That sounds good to me. Amplification means more, right? So this is last time I streamed, a couple last times, I was talking about the what to do when HTTs are at a discount that are lower than they should be. But what we didn't talk a lot about is what to do with HTTs when they're expensive. Expensive HTTs. So that does happen at times, right? There are times when the HTTs get mispriced. Again, this is DeFi, automated market makers, because they're automated market makers. They're using math, and they, you can see price impact based on what people do. Right? So when I click buttons, hello, it affects what happens with the prices, and how they are in ratio to HEX. All right, so one of my favorite topics here is this idea that using the actuator system, I can actually get more HEX than I started with. So we're going to look at two different cases today. One is the HTT 6000, which I have on the screen, and then the other is the HTT 4000. So why am I covering this? Well, I think there's an opportunity here at times, and depending on your situation and what you have going on, where if you have an HTT that becomes overpriced, you can simply swap it for more HEX than you started. That's one possibility. The other possibility is somebody might be holding liquid HEX, and they haven't gone forward yet with stake for whatever reason. And so then if there is a situation in the market where the HTT becomes overpriced, you don't want to spend extra HEX to get it. Instead, what you might consider doing is staking HEX and minting the HTT. Right? And so once you mint it, you could then swap it for more HEX. And when you have more HEX, you can go ahead and stake it again. And so you can create a recursive move where instead of just doing one HEX stake, you do two. And some people have done more than that. And you see these types of recursive kind of loops in other areas too. Not just in the actuator system, but in the actuator system is what we're talking about. Is what potentially can happen with the HTT system. Now these opportunities come and go, just like getting a token when it's underpriced. Overpriced situations don't always persist for a long period of time. So sometimes it's just every once in a while you'll see the opportunity come up. But we're going to go look at the dashboard. Let's go take a look at the dashboard, see what they have to say. Let me take this down. We'll share out the dashboard, and we'll look at the Actuator dashboard. Boom. All right, let's share that. Look at the dashboard. I see you there. Hey, Eddie. Yeah, I'll start with you first. Yeah, I always zoom out, man. But those zoom out. Don't know what's going to happen, but we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see. Yeah, I'm with you. Hold strong. It's terrible, man. I put a note out to my group of people that are closer to me, just saying, hey, listen, now is not the time to move your emotions. And you need to stay clear ahead. Right? Retrostatic. Good to see you there. Mike, how are you? JW, thanks for reposting Tim Tim, and I click buttons. We're all here. We got a quorum. That's what I said. All right. So we're looking at this dashboard from Actuator.Finance. And when we look at the dashboard, you see it has these helpful blocks at the top where they're giving you hints of things to go look at. They're not the definitives. You got to go look and make your own decisions. So it's DeFi. But currently the 7,000s are still pretty cheap relative to what their discount should be. And so they have that marked as at best for total return. And that's because on the HTT 7000, we go look at that. It's still at a 47% discount, 48% discount to HEX. And so just simply, picking up that HTT 7000, you lock in a total return of 91%. That comes out to be 6.88% APR. And of course, with price appreciation, that's what people are looking for, is the price appreciation. That becomes much more significant. Now, let me bring your attention here to the HTT 4000 in the center. You see that it shows best premium and best for selling. Best for selling. It even gives you a little instructions on what you could do. You can create a HEX stake ending on day 4000, extract the 4000s, and swap them for HEX and repeat. Now, I would say this is more of an advanced topic, so it's not something that everybody should just go do and you just keep printing them and minting them, etc. You really do have to watch out for what will happen with the discount. Now, why does the 4,000 show up here on this list? Well, if we did the math, and I'm not going to do it for you guys here online now, but if we did the math on it, what we would see is that the 4,000 is overpriced right now. Its discount to HEX should be about 22%, but it's at 15%. Right? Which I know it's a little hard sometimes to keep your head around this stuff, but when that discount is too low for something that's out 5 years from now, then that presents an opportunity where it's overvalued. In other words, the market is paying more for the 4,000 than it should. And you can see that expressed in the fixed APR being down at the 3.58%. It means it's more expensive relative to the other assets. And so you say, well, okay. I mean, this would make a whole lot more sense, if I was looking at it and it was greater than the price of HEX. The discount thing kind of screws it all up. But if you were to do the math and backtrack it, you would come out with this. You'd say, okay, between now and redemption date, which would be HEX day 4,000, this is how much this token needs to travel to get to one with HEX. And you back it out the other way and you come up with a number around 22%. So it's got a 5-6% premium over where it should be. All right, so what could I do with it? Well, I could come in here. I might have them, in the wallet or whatever, 4,000s, and just simply swap them for HEX. People will probably play that game over time. Again, I'll tell you guys this. I mean, I think in the Actuator protocol, things are pretty slow at the moment, but the whole chain's down and it's slow. And some of these opportunities, people will be like, nah, for the $20, $50, I'm not real interested. But in the future, as we expect, crypto to go up into the right over time. And, if I believe in crypto, pulse chain, and HEX, I expect that HEX will go up over time. I don't know what the timing will be. Right? It'll be a different story, because at 100x, it's a much different animal that we're talking about. We're talking about a lot more value, a lot more opportunity, at least in terms of dollars. So what I would do is I'd go over to my stakes panel here, and there are multiple ways to do this. So I'm just going to show you the quickest, easiest way. I could come in here and say I have 100,000 HEX, which is a substantial amount, I think, in my mind, and I would select the day that I want for HEX day 4,000, and I would submit this. It's a dummy wallet, so I can't actually do anything here with it, but I would submit it, and after the approvals and the transaction goes through and the stake is created, it would show up on this panel, and it would tell me that I could extract 100,000 HTT 4,000s. 100,000. Why? Because I had put in 100,000 HEX, staked it, and I delegated the stake all in one motion, and now I can mint new HTT 4,000s. In this case, I would get 100,000 HTT 4,000s, and you can see here on the screen, I put in 100,000. Because I know it is overpriced, I would be willing to take the swap. Right, so I'd be willing to take the swap, and I would swap the 100,000 4,000s for 80,000, roughly 80,000 or so more HEX. And so in this way, this first stake that I had, I would have recycled and gotten back 80,000 of my HEX, because it's running at a premium. And then what I could do is I could turn around and restake it again. Right now, this shows less HEX, right? So of course, a lot of people might be thrown off by that. And it does get in, I guess it's another level of detail in the Actuator protocol. But this is what a recursive loop could look like, where people can actually put a much smaller amount of HEX in and be able to amplify their stakes. Now, why would you do that? Why would you amplify your stakes? Because you're taking on this idea that you need to pay back the HTTs, later. Well, some people will speculate that, they'll be able to get the HTTs later too. Right, so they might do that. There are some people that will just let the stake run out, and they'll keep whatever the rewards are that are above and over and above their debt. Right, they might do that. Right. The other thing is with the two different stakes that you put through, remember, it continues to earn HEX, right? So that's what I mean by over and above. It continues to earn HEX through the payouts. And so over time, you can come back and extract more of the HTTs and put them to work, or to take the value and do something else with them. And just leave it in place. So this is what we would call a recursive loop. And we've you see some of this in the liquidity forks. People do this with borrowing against HEX, borrowing against Pulse X, Pulse, and liquid loans. So even in the ink printer, you'll see this type of technique being used. But this is specifically for HEX stakes, so you can actually come out the other end with two different stakes, one for 100,000 HEX and the other for 80,000 HEX, and have amplified this to have more T-shares, right? And I guess that's really what it comes down to, is having more T-shares to be exposed to the additional rewards that you get, and then the possible appreciation that can come with them. That would be the exposure. Now let's go look at a chart real quick, and I'll show you real life examples where this has happened. Because people are using the system this way, and they will do it. How are you, RH Max? Good to see you. Good to see you. So this is the HTT 4000 chart versus HEX in HEX terms. So HEX terms. And you can see that currently it's running about 0.8461 HEX. Right? So that's that 15%-ish discount. Where the discount really should be down here at the 78 bar. Something like that. And lo and behold, you can see some people have been playing at those different levels. So if we go all the way to the left of the chart, you can see there was a time, I'll show you a bigger one, but there was a time a few days ago. This is October 10th, right? So somebody was probably coming into the farms, and for whatever reason, they did not want to mint, so they bought off the market. When you buy off the market, you're going through V2. There's V3 and also like Tide and stuff out there. But regardless, it affects the market. So it drove the ratio up, right? So the first set of buys here got it up all the way up to almost 1 HEX. And then the second buy that went through got all the way up to 99. So it was 1 HEX. So what that meant is for that very brief period of time, somebody was able to go in and swap, mint brand new, fresh 4000s, which should be at a 23% discount, and get 1-for-1 HEX. Until there was enough price impact, right, that it starts driving it down. And every swap would drive the price down, which you can see somebody did something. I don't know if this is just market or somebody doing little sells, but this is on a 5-minute chart. But you can see 30, 30, 30, 30. Maybe somebody made 10 or 15 mistakes. I don't know. But then you see a big drop. So somebody paid attention, saw that you can get this much HEX, and then they really sold it down. They probably did too much. I don't know what their average price would have been that they would have gotten for the HTTs, but you can see it went all the way from 89, 90%, bottomed all the way out at 71%. So they probably did something in the mid, which probably is about right. They probably got it right to where the discount should have been. And then somebody else came in not too long after, and they brought it back up. Brought it back up to 85, which wasn't that much of a difference from the discount, but it's kind of similar to where we are now. So I wouldn't be hot on doing this, but just to demonstrate it, but somebody did. It's kind of went along, and they said, "Oh, I'd like to get into the pool," because remember the pools are paying. I'll show you the pool in a minute. But it's paying like 60% APR. And so this kind of went along, and somebody said, "I'm going to take the top off this." Boom, dropped it down. So they went and minted 4000s. Maybe they were putting them in the pool. I don't know. But they minted the 4000s, swapped for more HEX, and then somebody else came in. They brought it all the way back up to 1 HEX. And so you can see this happening over and over again. It's a lot easier mentally for me to get it when you say, "Hey, I'm going to get 1-to-1 HEX." I see my friend Crypto 7. So it's a lot easier for me to understand this when I go, "Oh, it should be at a discount, nice and clean and easy." But it's not. It's 1-to-1 HEX. And so then I'm able to swap entirely 1-to-1 HEX. I get that. When you start getting into the percentages, it's like a percent of the percent. A little harder for me to get my head around. But let's back up. So we also had, not too long ago, this event take place. Now remember, we're only a little bit over a week into the new HTTs. The new HTT 4000s and 6000s had just come out. I mean, it's only been since the 18th September. think this was out here. Yeah, because they started early and then the farms went up over here around the 8th of October, I think it was. All right, so there wasn't a lot of supply on the market. People hadn't been doing a lot yet. And so for whatever reason, somebody decided they wanted to get a lot of HTT 4000s off the market instead of minting them. And they drove it all the way up to 2. So for every HTT 4000 that somebody would mint, they were swapping, they could have swapped it for 2 HEX. And that's what happened. So you can see shortly after this topped out, boom, 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 all the way back down, to around that 20%, 23% level. So this represented an opportunity. Now, the person who did that, they might have done fine. I don't know. I didn't follow the wallet to see what happened, but they might have done fine because they would have had a good amount of HTT 4000s, and I'm assuming the reason they had done that would have been to put it into LP and to earn. And at that point, I think the APR was 300%, 350%. So they were earning quite a bit of Actuator pretty quick. So this is the technique that people will use when HTTs become more expensive than they should be. If you go back over to the dashboard at the Actuator site, and we'll take a look. The other one that comes to mind is the 6000. Now, I don't know what logic they're using for best premium to put up there, but the 6000s, this discount here is off by about 12%. So to me, it represents a bigger opportunity. But the 6000s are more expensive than they should be as well. And because they're more expensive than they should be, somebody could, I'm not saying to go do this, this is all educational purpose stuff. So I understand what's happening in this system, but you can go stake HEX, mint 100,000 of these and probably get about 70,000 back. So let's go to 6,000. All right, and we're going to say we have 100,000, 6,000. Let's see how many we get here. So you could go mint 100,000, 6,000. Stake. So how you would do that is you'd stake 100,000 HEX, about $550 for it. You would mint the HTT 6000, and then you would swap it for 70,000 more HEX, and then you could start up your second stake. Or you could do that and then simply just go in and provide LP if it's something you wanted to do. And so if we go look at the farms, we can see what they're paying. Yeah, so currently, the 4,000 is paying greatest out of all the 61.6, but the 6,000 is paying 57.7%. And that is paid in Actuator tokens, which you then can turn around and swap for more. So that's my little show, my little game on this, my little discussion about the HTTs and what to do when they're overpriced. So if you watch the charts, you'll see that happen. It is quite interesting to me, though, that some of these conditions persist longer. It just goes to show how new everything is. I mean, for instance, these HTT 3000s, pretty underpriced. The 7000s underpriced, but that's probably a reflection overall of the fact that listen, people aren't even staking HEX on the regular, so it's probably a reflection of that as well. All right, so that's our stream for today on Actuator.Finance. finance, HEX finance ecosystem. And you guys have questions, comments, pass them along. I'll try to answer them. Try to get back to you on it. And with that, you guys stay crispy, and we'll see you the next one.
Yo, T, urgent HEX buy signal. Charts flamin' hot.
Golden ratio, huh? That's how legends stack T-shares.
Get them while they're crispy, folks. This window won't stay open long.
Stake smart. Win big. Time rewards those who act.
Stay crispy, Hexicans.
You gotta move it, move it.
Feel the rhythm of the blockchain.